The Realtors View, brought to you by Vieweg Real Estate, where we discuss the local market, real estate tips, helpful information, and life in Central Illinois. And now your host, Jim Wilkerson.
Well, hey everyone, Jim Wilkerson here with the Realtors View. Today is Monday, July 31st, and our guest today is Regina Archer, Vieweg real estate agent. Hi Regina, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Got through a lot of the heat over the last few days. Hopefully we don't go up that high again, but...
I loved it.
You liked it.
I love the heat, yes.
Well, I'm not a person who loves heat, but I can appreciate other people liking it, and I just don't like sweating too much. It's not fun.
I love hot summers. Best time of year.
Well, Regina, do you have a listing, before we get into the topic today, do you have a listing that you would like to talk about?
Actually, I do not. I have actually sold all of my listings. They did not stay on the market long because, just like the summer, the market is hot. My last house that I listed sold in 3 hours.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So right now I do not have any current listings. Where I'm just working on getting them closed and getting all that final work done so we can get to the closing table.
You know, we hear a lot about other markets and how fast things move. I mean, I've been in real estate for about 8 years, and since I started, I've heard about, like California, New York, Florida, and, the hot spots where you have to bring your best offer, you have to sometimes have multiple offers or offer over listing price. I'm like, that is crazy, but we actually have that now here a little bit, don't we?
Yes. Like I said, houses are flying off the market and they are getting multiple offers on them. So you need to make sure that your offer is competitive in this market. And unfortunately, I've noticed that I'm getting a lot of phone calls from people that are not even pre-approved yet.
Which that takes us right into our topic of the day, which is pre-approval letters, or getting that pre-approval done. Yeah. And financing. So so what are you seeing out there right now with that?
Financing is extremely important. If you are not a cash buyer or you're not in the position to pay cash for something, you will unfortunately need a loan. You really need to have a pre-approval letter before you even start looking. When a house hits the market, and by the time that you get in to see it, there's probably already multiple offers on the table. So if you do not have a pre-approval letter, by the time that you get to a lender and get pre-approved to say that you are in the position to purchase a home, that house is already sold. It's already under contract. So it's important to find a lender. I prefer local lenders, but there's nothing, I've worked with wonderful out-of-state lenders also, but local lenders know your local market and they know how to negotiate in our local market. A lot of out-of-state lenders don't know our local market as far as how fast things are moving and the time constraints that we're under. They also forget that we pay our property taxes in arrears. So there's just some things that your local lender knows about our local market that's a little bit better, but nothing, all lenders are wonderful, but our local lenders are amazing to work with, and they're familiar with us to work with, so we're kind of, mesh well together, I guess, is what if you know what I mean. Yeah. But it breaks my heart when someone says, hey, I really want to go look at this house, but I don't have a pre-approval letter. And I'm like, you need to have a pre-approval letter, or I'll go and show somebody a home and they fall in love with it, but by the time they get to a lender, it's already sold. So find a lender, know your local market, and get that pre-approval letter.
Yeah, so with our market today, and like if we go back just 5 years or so, things were completely on the opposite side. Houses, took longer to sell, so sellers were struggling. but now we have buyers struggling. So that pre-approval letter, 5 years ago, maybe you could wait a little bit before you got that, but now you can't. But when you think about it, the pre-approval letter saves everyone time.
Yes.
It doesn't just save the realtor time because they know what you can afford, but it saves the buyer time. They don't have to waste time looking at homes they know they won't get approved for.
Yes.
And that's sad. I'd love to have $1 million home, but I know I'll never get there. So,
Yes.
There's no point in me spending my time or the realtor's time to go look at $1 million home when I can't afford the basement. So.
And there are some sellers out there that require anybody who is making it, because the seller who, when we call to schedule the showings, the seller requires the people who are coming to look at their home to already be pre-approved. They don't want looky-loos, is what, people that aren't serious. They want only serious buyers. So they either want proof of funds if they're a cash buyer, or they want a pre-approval letter to even make an appointment sometimes, in some cases. But also with the pre-approval letter, it saves you time, because once you're pre-approved and we get your house we get a house under contract for you, one of the very first things we do is send that contract over to your lender and get the ball rolling, because it takes a lot of time to close a home. There's a lot of processes that happen after we get that house under contract. An appraisal has to be ordered, the appraisal has to be completed, the appraisal has to go back to the bank, it's got to be reviewed, and if it has to be reappraised, then for any reasons, for predications or whatever, then that also takes time. And if you wait to get your pre-approval letter until later, then it prolongs that process and it causes the closing date to be pushed back even further.
Yeah, a person may say, well, I see how homes are selling fast. I'm looking to buy a home. Maybe I don't need a realtor to help me because things just go so fast. But just the things that you're saying right there, all those things that have to be done, you're going to miss the boat if you don't know exactly what all needs to be done and when it needs to be done. Planning ahead, but then also following through on everything.
Yeah.
Unless you're unemployed or you're retired, people don't have a lot of time to do all those things. Yeah. And that's part of why they use a realtor, not just for their knowledge, but because they don't have the time to do all that stuff. And that's what realtors do. They do all that work.
Yes. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that gets done that my clients don't even know I'm doing. And it's just, I just say, hey, this is done, or here's your title work, or, the ordering of title work, the delivering of earnest money, and the constant emails between title company and the lenders, and making sure the numbers are in. All that is done by us. So
a song that comes to my mind right when you're saying all that is, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Exactly.
It's like, someone's using a realtor for years. They decide, well, I'm just going to try it on my own. Then they're going to know.
Yes.
They're going to know all those things that you never told them that you did.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be like,
Yeah. I've had people in the past who have used me as a realtor, and then they wanted to do a for sale by owner. And unfortunately, the person that was selling the home did not want to deal with a realtor. And so he went it alone, and he called me, and he's like, I'm like, I can't help you. I'm not your realtor. I don't represent you. I can't help you in this situation. And he's like, I am never buying a home again without a realtor. This is awful. And he didn't realize the extent of what goes into it.
Yeah.
And if you're purchasing a home, it costs you nothing to use a realtor.
Yeah.
Because buyers don't pay commissions to the realtor. Buyer agents are paid by the seller.
That's a good point. I don't know if everyone out there really understands that. If you are
purchasing a home and you're just out looking for a home, it costs you absolutely nothing to use a realtor.
Yeah.
Nothing. Our commission is paid by on the selling side of it.
Yeah.
So we basically work for free for you. So you could literally pay nothing and have all of the expertise that goes along with it, and we walk you through the process step by step. And if you've never purchased a home before, having a realtor walk you through that process for the first time is, there's not a price you could put on that. It's priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember a story not too long ago of a home that was sold, and I look at home prices and I look at sometimes I'll see a listing come up and I'll be like, oh, that's way overpriced or something like that, and especially when you're buying, if you're buying a listing or buying a home, you want to make sure when you make that offer that it's a good offer, not you're not going to overpay.
Yes.
And I remember just looking at one like 1 or 2 weeks ago. I'm like, how did that ever sell for that much money? And all I can think of is the buyer wasn't represented or something happened there, because I mean, looking at all the other homes in the area and the amenities of that home, I just couldn't understand how it would ever sell for that much. And my gut tells me that that buyer probably didn't have a realtor, or there just wasn't good information passed along.
Well, I've seen the other side of that. I've seen houses sell for way less than what they could have gotten. And I'm just like, oh, why did they sell that for so cheap? They could have gotten so much more out of that house. And then I realized they sold for sale by owner.
Yeah.
They were, they didn't want to pay a commission to a realtor to sell their home, but then they left money on the table. A realtor probably could have gotten them a lot more money for that house. And I'm just like, well, I guess you have to live and learn.
There's a lot of research involved when you price your home. So
absolutely,
you can't just look at Zillow. And actually, I would probably never look at Zillow. But you can't just look at the freebie stuff out there that you can find online. You got to have a local realtor who's been working in the area, knows what's been selling, knows what's been in the homes. Because one house may be in the same area, but it may have 1,000 more square feet and have a lot more updated amenities. So, it's having that local knowledge that no one outside of Decatur or Central Illinois is going to have. Zillow's not going to know all that.
Yeah, Zillow will compare houses in Illinois to houses in California. And they are nothing alike. The markets are not the same. And so Zillow is a national based.
Yeah.
And so they get all of their information from all over the nation, and they basically do an average, and they don't go by local market. So it's not as their little zestimates are accurate. And so I tell everybody that I speak to, if you want to know your home's worth, call a local realtor. Yep. Call me. Yep. I'll tell you what your home's worth. I'll list your home and I'll get you all of the homes that I have sold in the last month have sold over asking.
Wow.
So none of them have sold, they're all, right at asking price or over, not a whole lot over, because my pricing was accurate, but they got asking price from them.
Nice.
And they didn't leave, and it was really weird, because I'd go to the things, I always say, before we get started, what do you think your home's worth?
Yeah.
And then they tell me, and I go, okay, well, let me tell you what I think your home's worth.
Yeah.
And they're always pleasantly surprised when I tell them they can get more.
Yeah.
And they have.
Yeah.
And if they had marketed their house on their own at their price, they would have left money on the table.
Yeah.
Even after paying a commission. But then they didn't get the benefit of the scheduling of the appointments and the marketing of their house and all the work that we do for them. So,
well, like you said just a moment ago, if you need to buy or sell, call Regina.
Absolutely.
So how do they do that, Regina, if they want to get a hold of you?
If they want to get a hold of me, they can either call or text me at 217-972-2229, or you can shoot me an email at regina@viewegrealestate.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Regina.
Thank you.
The Realtors View is brought to you by Vieweg Real Estate. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and our YouTube channel. And thanks again for listening to The Realtors View.